Welcome to the Zelos podcast. I'm your host, Rocky Snyder. This week, I've got Jeff Conkle in the house with me. He's in charge of player performance and strength and conditioning for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. But before we get underway, be sure to check out my workshop coming up this November. It'll be November 3rd in Santa Cruz County, California. Posture-based soft tissue mobilization. How we affect the body by targeting certain areas with soft tissue. And you can do that simply by understanding where the pressure is in someone's feet. Also, go to setantacollege.com. If you're interested in higher learning, you can get a Master's of Science in Performance Coaching. They also have tracks in sports injuries and return to performance management, as well as applied sports biomechanics and movement science, and applied sport and exercise psychology. setantacollege.com. Enter RS10 as a coupon code and get 10% off today. Follow us on Instagram at Rocky_Snyder and enjoy the show. Well, Jeff, thanks for coming on to Zelos. Nice in the cooler climates of Vegas. How warm is it there right now?
Near record. Got the little app down at the bottom. It's 104 degrees today.
Oh, you better wear a jacket. Things are cooling down for sure. And first of all, how do you like living in Vegas?
I really like it. I hate being cold. One of my goals was always to leave the north, and so I'm loving it here.
Not too much, huh? Where were you in the Great White North? Where did you grow up?
I grew up from Columbus, Ohio, originally. So cold, but not nothing like the Great White North of Winnipeg or Edmonton or anything.
Well, Columbus, yeah, they've got their share of overcast, cold days for sure. Give me a rundown of how you got from Columbus to Vegas. And first of all, your role with the Vegas Golden Knights is the Associate Director of Player Performance Development, as well as being one of the strength conditioning coaches. So, how did you go from growing up in Columbus, finding your passion, what happened, and then pursuing it to where you are now? And remember, can you do it in a minute or less? No, I'm just kidding. Just see if you could give me a rundown.
Yeah, so for a quick rundown, I was an average high school athlete, limited skill, really tried hard in the weight room to optimize my performance. And I went to Ohio State on an academic scholarship. I had always intended to do med school there or med school somewhere. And I thought exercise science would be sort of a fun pre-med education pathway. I can learn about how to optimize, my own personal training, and have a strong interest in the obesity epidemic. So, how could we help, a lot of my fellow Americans, return to a healthier lifestyle and a higher functioning lifestyle, better aging process. So that was sort of my interest that got me into exercise science. And as an exercise science undergrad, I took an undergrad job as a group fitness instructor. I thought, looking back on it, I think that was very helpful in moving into, coaching large groups of people, because you kind of have to get very comfortable with that, making exercise modifications on the fly, that sort of deal, coaching many people that you don't know all at once. So I think that was a kind of a fun accidental start into the pathway of being a strength coach. Then sort of for, my own selfish personal reasons, I kind of was curious what the Ohio State strength conditioning program was doing to, enhance the workouts and the athleticism of the Ohio State athletes. So I just reached out and asked if I could come shadow, and I started shadowing the Ohio State Olympic sports program.
Wow. Okay, I got to pause there. Ohio State, the Buckeyes, like they are synonymous with athletic pursuits, championships. I mean, you just think of some of the top schools in Ohio State, whether it's gymnastics, by the way. Gymnastics is huge at Ohio State, but amazing. And you just kind of just said, hey, what the heck? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to see if Alice Cooper wants to hang with me. And you basically got a reply and they said, "Yeah, come on over and hang."
Yeah, my professors and some of the strength coaches had worked with each other previously, so we kind of picked the social network a little bit, and they said welcome over, and that kind of continued into my undergrad, like official internship with the Ohio State Olympic Sports Program. And it went well. It was fun. I think a lot of the skills that I had developed as a group fitness instructor were very applicable, and sort of that being comfortable moving into large groups of coaching of people that you don't already know. So yeah, that was it was really enjoyable. Had really good mentors there. Um,
I bet.
Coach Glass, Coach Anthony Glass, Coach Andy Britton, Coach Tom Palumbo, Coach Luke Tipple were all excellent in their own ways, and I feel like they all took me under their wing and were very willing to share their expertise and their experience.
So,
And
Olympic sports being track and field, what cycling, gymnastics? What sports are you covering there?
a litany, because I just tried to be available. So yeah, track and field, men's and women's volleyball, men's ice hockey, women's ice hockey. No, sorry, not women's ice hockey. Edit on that one. My bad. Oh no, I did do some work with them, but it wasn't as much. So this is a long time ago, so it's racking my brain a little bit. The first team I got to coach actually for was the pistol and rifle team. I got a little bit of personal responsibility there. I think because they're kind of what do you do to
Yeah,
train
hold the
them?
phone on that. Okay, I just finished watching Olympic pistol shooting. I don't know if I've ever really watched it before. And I swear one guy put the cigarette down and stepped up to the target. I don't know if that was it was just something that was out of the corner of my eye. Maybe he would just had something else in his hand. But when it comes to that sport or competition, what did that look like for as an intern and working with those individuals? What was that all about?
So it was interesting, as when you shoot, you want to rely on bony end fields. So you don't really want to train them to be muscularly stable. You don't want, muscular stability. You actually want to be kind of locked into your bony frame. Uh,
Wow.
so mobility to make sure that you're flexible enough to lock into the bony frame in different positions, and then aerobic fitness to have a lower heart rate. Really is those are my thoughts on how to train for the shooting sports.
I love that. I don't think I've ever asked anybody a question of that sort. Okay, sorry, keep
No,
going.
no,
I
no worries.
just that
It was a
that
cool
was awesome.
opportunity. I think that they were sort of in there a little bit because their coach didn't want to use all of their hours for shooting, and he just kind of passed them over for a little bit of like, hey, make these guys do some stuff. And I was the intern that was there that day, and I like to shoot guns, so I had actually taken the coach's riflery course at Ohio State, so I kind of already knew the coach from taking his courses to try to learn how to shoot better as well.
Right
So
on.
so that some of those thoughts are from him a little bit as well about the wanting to be in the bony end fields and not wanting muscular stability.
That's very cool. Okay, Ohio State. You spend your 4 years or so there, and then how do you leave? Where do you go?
So very much synchronous timing for me. I got offered to be a GA to come back and teach and research for my master's degree at Ohio State. And the Blue Jackets reached out to the Olympic sports coaches at Ohio State and asked for uh, qualified candidates to intern with the Blue Jackets. So I was able to kind of merge those two opportunities. You mentioned like doors just kind of falling open. Both of those opportunities presented themselves almost at the exact same time, and I was able to do both. My faculty members, Dr. Dever, really inspiring professor for me, and Kevin Collins were able to work it out together that that would be an independent study coursework for me to be a strength coach there, and I would be able to do my GA work in the afternoons, evenings. So I did
Oh,
that
that's
for
great.
for 2 years. Very, very busy 2 years, being basically a full-time strength conditioning coach for an NHL team and full-time GA and full-time student. Um, but it went well. It was hard work, but enjoyable. And right about as I was graduating, another kind of stroke of good luck, the Blue Jackets minor league strength conditioning coach, wanted to leave and pursue going back to physical therapy, doctor of physical therapy school. So the job became available, and I applied. I'm not sure if anyone else did, and I got that role.
I'm sure there's probably a few applicants there. But that's great. And then basically from the Blue Jackets, it seems like every 2 years you move from one team to the next as head strength conditioning coach. The Springfield Thunderbirds, then on to the Cleveland Monsters, the Chicago Wolves, before landing in Henderson, Nevada with the AHL team. That's the G League or development team for the Golden Knights, which are the Henderson Silver Knights, right?
That's correct. And yeah,
Eh,
I was actually only been the minor league strength coach for the Blue Jackets, and then the minor league strength coach for the Golden Knights. Both of those clubs just changed their minor league affiliation, so it required me to move to a different city with a new team, while keeping the same role with the same players.
God, oh, so I see. All right. And then eventually with the NHL teams, their AHL affiliates that were primarily Midwest and in the East Coast, Northeast especially, they began to see that, okay, we can move out and be closer to our mother team or our parent team, so to speak, in the NHL. Like I know the San Jose Sharks have the San Jose Barracudas who moved out here not too long ago. Henderson, of course, the same. I mean, that must be quite nice in terms of having both organizations proximity and so on. But somewhere along the way, you became a performance development specialist. Give me a rundown, a little definition in your own mind, your own words. What does that entail?
So that was sort of the Golden Knights honoring me with an additional title to signify working beyond the scope of just the AHL head strength coach and having a focus on our prospect development. So in hockey, we draft guys at 17 or 18 years old, and then they can't generally become pros until around 20, and then their entry level contract runs to about 23. There's a lot of exceptions to all of these things, but the general pathway is drafted at 17, 18, able to become a AHL professional at 20, entry level contract with waiver exemption running to 23, restricted free agent, 2-year bridge deal getting to 25. So I break that down just because we have like almost a guaranteed 7 years with every athlete we draft if we want it.
Wow.
So I've always thought there's sort of an oversight in the way a lot of teams approach the long-term athletic development opportunity that presents. So in Columbus, when I was an intern, one of the things that I tried to make my own and do a good job with was working with the drafted prospects that kind of didn't fall in the purview of the NHL or the AHL head strength coach that we had at the time. And then a lot of those guys became the athletes on my team when I was the AHL head strength coach for Columbus. And I just sort of, there was no one else to do that job. We didn't have as many other intern options that kind of to follow me into that intern role. So I kept doing it. When I got to the Golden Knights, we had Gary Roberts to do that role for the first 3 years. So that was very nice. Actually, it was a big workload off my plate. And then when Gary Roberts left the Golden Knights organization to pursue other opportunities, the Jay Millette, my director, had known that that's something that I had interest in and had done before, and asked me if I would be willing to take it on, and I said yes, as long as I get some sort of title growth and growth in the organization to do so.
So, in essence, you've developed kind of an LTAD program from 17 to 24-year-old athletes. Am I
Yeah,
getting that right?
I would say I sort of started it and started working on that sort of project in 2011 with the Blue Jackets, and have so that's something that I think I've done well, and it's sort of become a niche for me. Not exactly by intentional act, but just a hole that I saw needed filled. So I tried to fill it to give the NHL team the best chance at being successful.
And how about other organizations, other teams, that is? Are they seeing what you've been doing? Because, I mean, granted, there was the expansion, Golden Knights established themselves, and within, I don't know if it was the first year, was it the first season they were around that they won the Stanley Cup?
Unfortunately, not. We got to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost to
Okay,
the Washington Capitals. It
that's
was a
right.
very
Okay.
very exciting first year.
Yeah.
No one really knew exactly what to expect, um, but I think our Golden Knights management did an incredible job with trades and player acquisition and kind of accumulating a lot of pick capital that then they could reuse. So it was a cool thing to watch from, I started watching outside as a Blue Jackets employee and then got to kind of come inside and see the success that wrought as a Golden Knights employee.
Well, and so with that, and it's extended season after season, the Golden Knights have been in the top five at least in the West. I think with every season, they're always up there. They're always making the playoffs for such a young organization. So are eyes turning toward you and the program that you developed? I mean, do you have colleagues and on other teams that are going, "Hey, I understand you got this program. Can we talk about it?" Or you're
I'm not.
going, hey, no way, man. This is my baby. I'm not letting anybody have it.
I I don't. I think it's not as secret as you would like to think. It's just hard work and consistent effort, uh, good education of your prospects. It's doing the basics extremely well is very effective. Is what I would say.
And so, what are the basics? And I don't mean just the physical development, because you're getting teenagers who are leaving home that aren't completely mature physiologically and mentally and culturally. I mean, you've got to have it be a multifaceted approach. How in depth are we talking?
Yeah, so NHL teams have development camps every summer, and that we get to see them in person at these development camps. So I've always been a big proponent of using that time to really try to educate athletes on proper lifestyle in terms of at different development camps. We've done a lot of different things, but uh, I think I view it as sort of my collegial background. I loved teaching, and I tried to teach during that time. Teach movement, teach nutrition, teach sleep, hydration, supplementation. So the things that if you do these basics very well consistently over the time from your 18 to 20, we can have you much more ready to step into your professional career. You know, hopefully bigger, faster, stronger than your peers that don't take that focus time when no one's making them do it. That's kind of and then there's just a lot of communication. You stay in touch, make sure that the players know that you're available as a resource, reach out to them frequently, and see how things are going. That way, that that's an issue that they might not reach out to you about, you can hear about once you reach out to them and address it, educate based on whatever that issue is.
And so the role that you stepped into, moving from Henderson to the NHL in Las Vegas, what what have you taken on more of? Or was it just kind of a lateral shift into a more notable position? I mean, did you take on a higher role and responsibility? Not just because of the level of players, but what does this entail?
So one of the things that was, as I mentioned before, it's being a team's head strength coach, being an AHL head strength coach it's a demanding, hour intensive, travel intensive job. and then doing a good job at staying in touch with all of your prospects is a intensive, felt like second full-time job.
Hmm.
So for me, it was, you know, kind of saying that I'm trying to please two masters with this role. And I think that I could do a better job at the prospect development role, which I think is extremely important, if I have more time to dedicate it to it. And that, I've the goal as a professional is to move up to higher levels. So I was trying to be an NHL and strength and conditioning coach. So I thought by moving away from being a team's head strength conditioning coach, and I would be able to move up level and provide better service delivery to the prospects.
Sure, I can see that. But boy, that's so. What's give me a rundown of your daily routine. You wake up at 2:45 a.m. and your head hits the pillow at midnight, or what are we talking?
It definitely felt like that for a lot of years. I'm very you know very much not a morning person by nature, but sports kind of forces it on you. I'm not one of the gets up early and works out. I usually get up and meditate, walk the dogs, cook breakfast, that sort of thing. It's nice in season when we have provided breakfast, so that gives you a little bit more time to sleep. Yeah, I usually try to have at least a bit of time and motion in the morning to clear my mind and focus on the tasks that I need to accomplish that day. Head into the rink. Usually, there's the strength conditioning setup and organize the weight room and display the activities required for the day, all that sort of thing, and then coach athletes through whatever is the intended intervention that day. The fun, exciting part of the job, the reason you signed up, right? And then there's the data
The other
recording
stuff.
stage. Yeah, then there's the other stuff, data recording stage, office work. That I usually use that time to reach out to prospects, reach out to vendors, that sort of thing, sort of the office side of the thing. And then I'm an afternoon workout person, so that's the kind of about eat a little bit of a late lunch, and then about 60 minutes later you get to training.
Okay, in your position, what's your superpower and what's your kryptonite?
My superpower is I would say being relatable, being friendly, and being present. I really like to be on the floor with the athletes the whole day. If there's an athlete in the weight room, I don't like to be in the office. I want to be out with the athletes. If there's one athlete out on the floor, I want to be out on the floor with them. And then it's kind of also the kryptonite, because then that signs me up to sit back at the computer for a lot longer in the afternoons.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, uh, how you say you've got dogs? Does that mean you've got two,
I
three,
got
four?
yeah
How many dogs?
two big golden doodles. They're pretty fun. They get me to do
And
a lot more walking volume than I probably would otherwise.
do they get to go to work with you?
They have before. When I was a Chicago Wolves employee, I would take my dog in pretty frequently. She was kind of like a team dog one season, and then they'll make occasional appearances, usually in the off season now.
You said the Chicago Bulls. Were you with the Bulls organization?
Chicago the Wolves, sorry.
Oh, the Wolves. Now it's my hearing. That's all right.
Yeah.
Wow. And so they prefer to kind of stay at home.
They love the rink. I mean,
Ah.
they're a whole lot. They're a bit of a distraction. Yeah. So
Okay. Biggest challenge coming up for this season that you're facing right now and that you're looking forward to overcoming or dominating?
um, biggest challenge: sleep deprivation. That's a every hockey season you're going to be working late, waking up early on repeat, trying to stay the healthiest individual you can as well with your own workouts and your own energy level. So, nap when you can, realize when there's going to be short sleep, sometimes modify your own exercise intensity down when you know you're going to be tired. One of the things I love most about my current role is the less travel. After years of riding the bus as an AHL head strength coach, lots of nights on the bus, I really am enjoying a reduction in my travel volume, which is less sleep deprivation. But I think that's the hardest thing for uh, professional hockey staff member is the total hour demand and the late nights and early mornings combined.
Now, do you travel with the Golden Knights at all when the season comes around? Will you be traveling?
I don't. So that's
Wow.
a large perk of my current role for myself. I really am enjoying being a little bit more of a homebody and taking the time when the team's on the road to really accomplish a lot more of the prospect stuff.
And how many prospects are we talking when you say prospects? Are we talking 30, 20, 40?
It
What?
depends. We've traded a number of our draft picks recently, so we're around 12 currently. As the year goes on, and we might sign some additional people for the Tahoe team. It could go up. It depends how you classify that role. Who falls under the purview of the AHL strength coach. But if we say prospects as everybody underneath the NHL, which is sort of my previous definition of on their first one or two contracts, it would be more along the lines of 22, 25, something like that.
From 3 separate teams?
Well, more than that. So it would be, guys in major juniors, guys in college, guys in European pro teams, guys in the East Coast League, guys in the American Hockey League, kind of.
Wow. Okay, so how does it filter down to you? Does the GM contact you? Does the head coach or assistant coach go, here are the guys we're looking at and need you to reach out and do that? How does, if there was like an organizational chart or a flow, how does that work?
So we have Will Nickel, our director of player development, and he's fantastic. He really is super passionate and sort of does the I would say like the hockey and a lot of the life development side of the player development. So he's in contact with these guys a lot. He's traveling to see them, watching their games. Uh, you know, kind of being somewhere in between an older brother and a father to these guys. Like he works extremely hard and he's very diligent at this role. And so I'll contact them on my own, and then we'll powwow pretty frequently and make sure that these guys may have told him things they haven't told me or vice versa, so we can kind of sorry about that.
My dog sleeps the same way. My dog has fun dreams, and they sound the same right now. So they're chasing a bone or something. That's awesome. I love the sound of dogs sleeping like that. So if you looked back over your career at Ohio State as a student, knowing what you know now, and in the position that you're in, are there some college courses that you'd go back and take to kind of fill in the gaps, if there are any, within your mind?
Absolutely. There's a course that I really wanted to take. Actually, it was a very hard course. My business school friends took it. It was Computer Science and Engineering 200. I tried hard to get access to it as a grad student. It was basically, Excel boot camp. And my sister is a Ohio State business grad, and she's a wizard, in an Excel sheet. So I've had to be somewhat, self-taught, YouTube channels, books. But I was already working as a professional intern with the Blue Jackets, and saw like how valuable this tool would be to a strength conditioning professional. My personal bias is that Excel is way better than almost all of the AMSs that exist. And if you can either engineer it yourself or get a third party engineer to build you the Excel that you need for what you want, this is a major Fortune 500 level enterprise instead of like a niche small market product. So yeah, I wish I could have taken that. I tried hard to take it. I needed to gain access to the business school to take it, unfortunately. So that one jumps out when you ask that question.
Yeah, that's it's really kind of funny because I'm not a Fortune 500 company. I'm a little boutique training facility in a quiet surf town on the California coast. But I have tried so many management systems. Some are, the devil that you know versus the devil that you don't know. It's which is the lesser of the evil, so to speak. Whether it's software management for the business, program design, you say, and in the end, we're relying on Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. These spreadsheets are because they conform to what you need them to. So it's very interesting to know that you're kind of in the same boat as well. And in order to hone your craft, to sharpen your skills, so to speak, in the position that you're in, what are you pursuing is in terms of whether it's YouTube videos or if it's going back to school or if it's a correspondence course or just a book? Is it the the language of coaching, the aspects of better communication? Is it the importance of sleep? Where is it that in your spare time, which is very limited, I understand, where are you looking to improve upon what you're doing?
So I just started to reflect on this off season, and haven't taken that many steps at it, but I feel very confident in my abilities as a strength conditioning coach, and the tools and resources for strength development, movement training, those sort of things. And I think to better myself, the focus needs to shift to better management of people. In this the role that I'm in currently, I do oversee the AHCHL strength coaches, and that's my first role of actually managing somebody else. So that's sort of my focus. Once the season gets started, I want to dive into that a little bit in my personal reading time.
Do you guys ever do any like Myers-Briggs? I was going to say Briggs and Stratton, but that wasn't it. But Enneagrams, any kind of personality assessments to know the types of people you work with and how you pair up, how you work well together, where you're challenged? Do you guys, I'm just curious. I don't know about other sports organizations, but you guys have been champions a few times over here. So I'm just curious.
I did some of that at Ohio State in the group fitness program. Actually, that was something
Really?
that was there, and as well as the exercise science department. I haven't done that in the pro sports venue at all. Um,
Oh,
yeah, it's
no, no, that's
not
all right. I was
something
just
that I would
curious.
not something that I would personally probably push for. I do know our director now, Steve McCauley, sort of has a history of management in other ways, and he likes he has an interest in that. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but he that is something that he is interested in. I think maybe starting to layer into what we do.
And a lot of people think, oh, well, it's the off season right now. NHL is not going to get underway for about 6 more weeks. I mean, first game's not until October, or is it the first week of November? When's the first game?
Early October.
Early October, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
right
we
now,
start training camp for rookies on the 11th, and for main camp on the 18th. So we're coming right up to the edge of the off season here. Guys are, I think guys all around the league are working very hard to be prepared for the camps.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Most people think, oh, it's the off season, everyone's relaxed. The players are somewhere in the Virgin Islands kicking back with some mimosas or whatever. But no, this is the time that you're really just getting down and dirty with your preparation time. So, when is it? Is it the middle of June to the middle of July that you come up for a breath, or when do you feel like you can take a breath before things just go nuts on you?
Well, so it sort of depends whenever your season ends. I mean, with my role with prospects, season ends in a rolling go. So your season might be over, but they might be, in their week one, and you need to set up a program, talk to their strength coach. But generally, when the season ends, you have a little bit of a downtime, a couple weeks from your main squad. Uh, reduced work hours, not going in every day, that kind of thing, and then uh, the development camp usually follows the draft, so that's the first week of July or so. Then like the second 2 weeks of July, maybe it's a little bit light. Those are usually the time I usually peg for a personal vacation. Dev camp is over. You've kind of onboarded new athletes, reached out to their uh, strength and conditioning coach for the off season, that sort of thing, and then you can sort of make sure your new program phases are out, and then take a little bit of a break there.
Well, being in Vegas and the second week of July or so, I think your timing is perfect to get the heck out of Dodge there.
It
My
is.
gosh.
It is not. If you stay around Vegas at that time of year, it can be uncomfortably warm. We had a new record this year of 122 right about that time. That day was uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's called prison. It's not called freedom at all. So, okay, your prospects, they've got their conditioning programs, they've got their coaches. How often is there a butting of heads? How often do you have to address ego, for lack of a better word? Like, do you run into conflict with other organizations, other teams that you've got prospects coming from, or do you just kind of smile and nod your head and say, "Okay, that's great," and wait till they get here, and then we're going to put them through what they really need?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally that happens. I feel like just in, like regular life, most people are amenable. You're not, if you try to package what you're asking for in a way that's manageable and not extremely time sensitive from them. I like to give. These are other strength conditioning professionals I'm speaking with. They're qualified to have the jobs that they have, and you kind of approach it just like anything in life, a friendly manner. Here's the objective testing results that we saw with our guys, and here's what we think would help their development the most. Here's the ways that we would think about working on them. What is feasible in your facility and your time scope? How can we help? I think that's the way to minimize friction points. Um, and then when those friction points occasionally occur, at the end of the day, you don't really have control power, so you have to do your best to be persuasive and get a win for everyone. There's come to a compromise that works for both sides, that you feel comfortable.
Sure. Nice. Okay. When it comes to kind of developing somewhat of a needs analysis on prospective players, with your prospects, what are the big buckets that you're looking for? And what I mean by that is sprint speed, uh, some kind of combine in the gym. Are there things that you're looking at, aerobic recovery rates, or what are the things that kind of are your big pillars that you're looking for? And when you're deciding, okay, we need to enhance here, we need to improve here.
Yeah, I mean, so as you mentioned earlier, it's these guys are 18 when they come in, so almost all of them, 90+% of them are just not, physically enough. They're not big enough. They're not strong enough. So the by far and away, obvious first answer is you need to get these guys, and it can be very challenging because the better a hockey player is, the more they'll play hockey all year. So the higher profile players will have more off-season, national camps, and they won't take the breaks because they'll have a national thing over here. So the best youth, not youth, but the best 18 to 20-year-old players will have the most hockey, and often they play the most minutes. So that sort of volume of activity often drives down the size that they are. So you're trying to find ways to help have them get the nutritional support for their own development, making sure they are remembering that even if they're tired, they need to get in their strength training. Uh, and yeah, so it's by far and away we need to get them bigger, faster, stronger. And I'm sort of Columbus, Ohio, West Side Barbell. Uh, Power expression is percentage of your 1RM, right? So we need to, that doesn't work infinitely, obviously, but if you have a kid come in and we don't test in sort of and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that, but every training session itself is a test. So you can see these guys moving with weights, and you want to clean up their movement capacity to reduce the risk of overuse injuries, and you want to get them stronger at the basic movements.
And what about it when it comes to the seasoned veterans, the guys that are going to be aging out pretty soon?
Guys in their late 30s, you mean, or
how does it vary in terms of establishing a program or needs analysis? I mean, obviously these guys know what works for them. They have certain programs that have worked well for them. So it may be a little bit more challenging to do different things with them and hope for a buy-in, but it's obviously, I'm not going to say obviously, I'm curious, are the programs different from the 18 and 19-year-olds compared to the 33-year-olds?
Completely, and I think they should be, right. I think you have that. I think you're right. Like, obviously, yes, there's a you're not chasing endless improvements in a 1RM, right? Like taking a guy's squat from 200 400 is going to yield you incredibly beneficial results. Taking a guy's squat from 500 to 600 is going to take so much work and effort and a high risk of injury. There's every athlete is different, but generally you're looking for, I would say, the attainment of high level intermediate strength, and then you can kind of focus on more sport specific needs, reduce training styles that reduce the risk of injury, that sort of thing.
What about like tissue resiliency? Like, how do you develop that? Obviously, they're banging bodies, they're banging boards, they're hitting the ice. It's already inherent within the sport itself. But do you take it one step further off ice?
Well, so I think there's a few things there that really stand out to me. Is I have had the blessing of getting these guys after they've already been selected in the NHL draft. So these guys are, or picked up as a free agent for a professional hockey team. So these guys have gone through juniors and college, and I think there's some level of selection for genetic recovery freaks in professional hockey.
Oh, tell me more. Give me a little insight on that.
Like, these guys have had to play multiple games of hockey, many 9 months of the season since they were children, and they still were able to recover and get stronger and get faster before I ever meet them. So there's almost a weeding out process. Very, very rarely do I meet an athlete that gets to this level and has a challenge with that.
Huh.
And the ones that I've met that have that issue have not been successful.
Ah, yeah, that makes complete sense.
So as much as I would like to take credit for some, glorious, complicated way of working on that, I think that the sport itself almost selects for that adaptive capacity in individuals.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Golden Knights injury rate was pretty low amongst most of the teams in the NHL last season. Uh, what do you attribute that low injury rate to?
Well, we have a fantastic, uh, athletic training and medical staff. Uh, we've had fantastic nutritionists and chefs. Um, you know, the organization is very supportive and trying to manage the schedule as much to allow rest and recovery. So I think there a lot more of that is outside of the weight room than inside of the weight room.
Hmm. And travel being what it is, if we look at the NHL, we'll find that the majority of teams are up in the Northeast or in the Midwest, in the northern states. Granted, we've got Carolina, Florida, Vegas, LA, Dallas, and so on. They've spread out, but still within the group. I bring this up because the travel time is more intense for your team. You cover more time zones because you're further west, like all the West Coast teams and the East Coast teams are those that are kind of like in the center of the country don't have to address so much change in that. Um, there, that travel, that extensive amount of travel, how do you offset that also?
Yeah, so Vegas's head strength coach Doug Davidson, and I'll give a little props to Aaron Heichman, our reconditioning specialist, head of reconditioning. He does great work with getting the athletes back from injury in conjunction with the medical staff, right? And Doug is a very highly intelligent, creative strength coach, and and he's been able to help do things that I think personally enhance the recovery and the adaptation to time zone. And I don't think I should talk too specifically about what those are, but I think
No.
He does a good job with that.
Wow, fantastic. Well, obviously, because that is one of those the golden fleece that everyone's seeking out. You guys seem to have a good, successful recipe with that. And just the fact that you've got it sounds like you, being a humble person, didn't take any credit for anything we've talked about in the last 5 minutes. Just adds to it. But you've got quite a collaborative team. That sounds like you've really interwoven your disciplines very well together. You communicate well, and that's the sign of a good organization. So we're getting up to the end of the talk here. I'm just curious. We connected through LinkedIn, and I continue to follow you through there. But what about Instagram, other social media areas? Is there some information I can put in the description below the podcast where people can follow you, connect with you, reach out, or whatever?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Jeff Conkle, and I mean my Instagram is not exciting. I'm kind of boring, non social media type person, but my Instagram is at Jeff Conkle.
If you love golden doodles, you're going to see a whole bunch of golden doodles on your site, I'm sure.
No, not even. I don't think I've
Oh,
posted in 7 years, but I I do I check my inbox there. I check my inbox on LinkedIn. I try to make myself available to other professionals that want to connect to help grow the field and have a growing web of communication in our field. I think is important. So I am available for those two resources. But as
right
far
on.
as
All right,
content
Jeff.
I'm putting out, I don't think you're going to be too excited to see what I have there.
Well, I'll be the judge. But in the meantime, last question. When I come to Vegas, which show would you recommend going to see?
Ooh, okay. So I am a big fan of Mystere, the Cirque du Soleil
Ah,
show. I
nice.
haven't been to. There's a Absinthe. That's the show that I have
Oh,
had on
so
my
good.
short list, but I have not been yet. So
It's
heard
still
that's
at Caesars,
show.
right? It's in the parking lot at Caesars.
Yeah, I've heard from many people that that's the best
Dude,
show, but
you got to
I
go.
haven't made it yet. So far for me, I've liked Mystere. I've gone a couple times, and Absinthe
Nice.
is on my short list.
Absinthe is good. Sit in front if you can, right close to the little stage in the middle, and you'll have a freaking fantastic time. Who knows? Maybe the next time in Vegas, I'll knock on your door and we'll go together. This has been great. I can't thank you enough, Jeff, for coming on. I wish you tremendous success, continued success with the Golden Knights. Even though I'm a Sharks fan, I look forward to the time the teams come together and go head to head.
Good rivalry, yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah. We'll do this another time for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Rocky. Nice to meet you.
You too.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Zelos Podcast. Thank you, Jeff, and the Las Vegas Golden Knights for making this happen. Remember, you can come on into Santa Cruz this November 3rd for a one-day workshop. It's CEUs for athletic trainers, physical therapists, chiropractors, strength coaches, and personal trainers. You get credit for all of those. Posture-based soft tissue mobilization. Check us out on RockySnyder.com. While you're at it, check out SatantaCollege.com, and if you want to get 10% off your tuition, enter RS10. And we will see you next week.